It's a 1997 Dodge Dakota V6 two-wheel drive 3.9 liter, and I bought it for. Okay, we're back. So you guys are introduced to the truck a little bit behind the scenes of introducing it, but I want to be able to talk to you guys a little bit more in depth about the truck and what the plan is for the truck. I've thought it over. This is probably about a week since I last videoed. Week and a half maybe. 4th of July has passed. I videoed June 27th. I think was the day. June 27th. This is July 7th. So yeah, it's been about a week and a half. And yeah, she is here, but you guys, as you can see, we are not where the last video was. It is we are in Kentucky. Yeah, and where that one video was, it was Indianapolis. So the truck does drive very well. I actually made a 4.5 hour drive. So just fine, no problems whatsoever. Drove very nice, very smooth truck. So it drives great and no problems whatsoever. However, I did notice one thing, is that actually on this one driver's side, I believe it was this guy, this wheel right here. I heard some rubbing when I would steer the truck rather. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Hopefully we'll get into that in more detail. But you know, that time will come. But what we want to do is I want to be able to, excuse all the bugs by the way, because like they're everywhere. So to introduce, I think it's gone. I think I hit it. I think we're good now. Alright. To introduce the truck even further, it's a 1997 Dodge Dakota. It is a two-wheel drive V6. Unfortunately, it has been deemed as a grandpa truck. So yes, it is a grandpa truck completely. So you know, obviously it's not perfect by any means. So we're gonna try and fix this bad boy up. That's the plan. We don't know if we're gonna keep it or sell it, but yeah, we're gonna have fun with this truck. It's a project. But let me tell you guys a little bit about the truck and how I got it. So I bought the truck at the beginning of June. It was actually a Sunday. Yes, it was a Sunday morning. And I woke up, I was actually getting ready for church. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna scroll through, Facebook Marketplace and just want to see if there's any deals. You know, I always do that. Facebook Marketplace is basically my Instagram feed to some. So I will always be on Facebook Marketplace, always looking for deals, whether it's a car, whether it's anything. I mean, I always look. So I was scrolling, I saw this guy pop up, and it said $2,000. Yes, you heard me correctly, $2,000. So I was very intrigued. I took a look at the pictures, and it was hopefully I'll pop those up on the screen. Okay, and these are the photos that the owner, posted on Facebook Marketplace. As you can see, it looks really rough. The clear coat was peeling bad, and yeah, that's what I was dealing with. So that's kind of this is the visual I got before I even went to go look at it. So it was pretty rough. The clear coat, as you can see, it is bad. Yeah, it needs a lot of work. The paint, however, isn't terrible. The only problem is the paint is on the top fenders. So I saw those, and you know, it was fine. The outside didn't look the best, but it did look kind of rust free from the pictures at least. So I went ahead, I shot him a message, and he responded fairly quickly. This is Sunday morning, before church, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's responding fairly quickly. I got some info, but the thing was, on Facebook Marketplace, the description said it needed a water pump. So I was like, okay, that's not too bad. You know, it'll be a couple $100, maybe a little bit more, but you know, for $2,000 for a truck that has that low mileage, that's not a big deal. And I looked down further in the description, and it has said it has 67,000 miles. So with that and the water pump, I was like, oh, it's got to be something, you know, minor, right? It's got to be something small. So you know, I went ahead and took a shot at it, and shot the guy a message, and yeah, I ended up headed towards Indianapolis. And as I was, you know, getting ready to leave from Cincinnati, Ohio to Indianapolis, Indiana, the guy decided to change the description on me and said that now it was a clogged radiator, which, you know, it's not too bad. I mean, either it needs a radiator, or, you know, you can even, they sell items where you can unclog the radiator, and you know, maybe that was it. I don't know what the guy was exactly intending. So I went ahead and I just called the guy. I asked him if I could, you know, talk to him on the phone, get a better idea of the truck, and you know, see exactly what he was, you know, what his, you know, reason for selling, some of the issue, and more detailed information on the truck. And he seemed like a great guy. Talked, you know, very honestly, in my opinion. With, I mean, he was getting ready to move, and he said, I don't really need the truck, and it's just gonna, you know, it's just been sitting for like 2 winters, and it's got low mileage. It's not a perfect truck by any means, but I had a guy come out, and he was a mechanic of some sort. He wasn't necessarily just a mechanic, but he was a guy that he knew that was very, he knew cars pretty well. And he actually changed the description because that mechanic, when he came out that morning, that Sunday morning, he had said it was actually a clogged radiator, not a water pump. And the reason for that is because there are 2 tubes in this truck. I will show you guys, hopefully, and once we dive into it more, I will show you guys exactly what he meant by that. So there was 2 tubes that ran from the thermostat to the radiator, and the one that ran from the radiator to the water pump. The 2 tubes basically on either side of the radiator. And the guy said that whenever he started and he got it warmed up, basically, is it about to rain? It might be. Anyways, we're gonna hurry up this video. So basically, what the guy said, the mechanic, he told the owner, he said, so basically, when I start the car up and I get it warmed up, the bottom tube of the radiator, it gets cool, and there's water flowing through it, and it seems fine. But on the top one, and it looks like it was coming in from thermostat, thermostat. I'm still very new to the mechanics of cars and trucks. I know how to get the deals, but when it comes to complete machinery, I'm still learning. So, ooh, shoot, B, okay, we're good, I think. No, we're not. Okay, I'm getting chased by a bee, bro. Beef. We're back. We're back. So, what was I saying? Yes, the mechanic. The guy said that basically that the radiator inside seemed clogged because one was cool, the tube that ran from underneath the radiator, and the one that ran from the top was hot and flimsy. Like it was like there was no airflow whatsoever. Like there was no airflow whatsoever inside the radiator, or excuse me, water flow through the radiator. So that is what, you know, made him think, oh, it must be a clogged radiator. So when he told me that, I went ahead and I made the trip, 2-hour drive, and basically it was just overheating the truck. And he said he drove it for about a mile or 2, and that's when it started overheating. Problem was I didn't, you know, I wasn't gonna drive this thing back to Cincinnati. So I actually have a brother-in-law that lives in Indianapolis, and it turned out that he only lived about 20 minutes from the owner of this truck. So I called him up and said, hey man, there might be a truck I'm gonna be looking at in Indianapolis. Is there any shot, if I do buy this, is there any chance I could just park this at your house and maybe work on it? And he was all for it. He's Noah Amsbury, actually, shout out to him. He's the one helping me out on this project and getting it. And he's actually the one that helped me get it running and smoothly. So yeah, so I went ahead, I got a place for it, and I was like, you know, I was prepared to work on it, get a water pump in it, or get a, you know, whatever it needed. So I went ahead, drove to Indianapolis, and I got there, and I started driving the truck. It fired right up. It looked like he had warmed it up already for me. And the clear coat was really rough. Like, it was little bit more than I was expecting. So, you know, I was expecting that, but, you know, it's definitely fixable. And so I took it for a test drive. The brakes are pretty rough. The brakes are rough. It's not necessarily that they don't brake. Well, they don't brake well, but it's because there's air in the brake lines. So I have to bleed those. But I actually drove it from Indianapolis to here with air in the lines. And yeah, that was a little scary, but I made it. I just drove slow and was very, you know, cautious with how far, you know, I was between cars. So I made sure there was a good distance between me and the cars. And so yeah, I got it here. But when I got to the truck and I started it up, fired it up, I pressed the brakes, and it just was like mush. Like, it was spongy, very spongy. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't tell me that, but okay. So I fire the truck up, get it pulled out. I start taking off in his neighborhood, and start giving it some gas. Make sure everything works. AC worked great. Everything inside the truck worked for the most part. Yeah, everything in the truck works, except I think there's a few minor things that aren't like a big deal to me at the moment. So I was like, okay, it's not a bad truck, especially with the mileage. And it turned out that the listing said 67. I got there and it said 63,800 something. It now has 64 because of the trip it made down here to Kentucky. But I bought it with 63,800. And yeah, it was a bargain. It was a bargain. It turned out I got him to go to 1,500 on this bad boy.
Wow, what a deal that was.
Yes, that's it, 1,500. $1,500 for this truck. And it was a good deal, in my opinion. Very good deal. So, yeah, that's a little bit of the backstory on it, and that's how I got it. Now, the history about the truck itself. It is a 1997 Dodge Dakota. Excuse me, my brain is like freezing right now. It's a 1997 Dodge Dakota, two-wheel drive V6. Now, it actually came from a farmer that owned it for basically most of its life. Then an older woman bought it to actually move it only for her garage, basically just to like move stuff out of her garage completely. Then her son-in-law bought it off of her, and that's the guy I bought it off. So technically I'm the third owner. Technically I'm the fourth owner, but the second owner, it stayed in the family. So I like to think of it as me basically just being the third owner. So yeah, but to talk about a little bit more about the mechanics of how I got it running, because like I said, it was overheating. It was overheating, apparently, to him. So I drove the truck from the house. He said, you're not going to make it about a mile or two before you're going to have to shut the car off, which I was like, okay, well, I don't have any way to get it. I don't have a trailer with me, so, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get a U-Haul trailer in time. I was going to just basically just drive it. If it starts overheating, shut the car off, when the temperature gets high, shut the car off when it gets high at that point. So I was, prepared for that. I drove that thing. And it was about a 20-minute drive to my brother-in-law's place. And it drove perfectly fine. I still don't know what the guy was talking about when it came to overheating. Now, I got it to my brother-in-law's place, and we started messing with it because we were so confused. Because the guy basically, was like, yes, it will overheat on you. He was so, dead set on it overheating. He was like, it's going to overheat on you. You're not going to be able to do anything. So I was like, okay. So, we obviously popped the hood, and we were trying to figure out what was going on with it. We checked the tubes that the guy was talking about, and it still was doing that. It was the one was very hot and flimsy, there was no water flow. And then the other one that ran from the other side of the radiator was very, very cool, and there was water flowing through it. Very stiff. So we're like, dude, what's going on with this truck? Man, it's about to thunder. Yeah. So we don't know what was going on with this truck. And so we just start messing with it. Now, it turns out, my dad actually kind of helped not just to walk me through it, but I wanted his opinion before I bought it. So shout out to Dad. Dad came through on this one. But I basically FaceTimed him, and I said, Dad, I think he's about to pull up. He sure is. So basically, he's about to pull up. So basically, I bought the truck with it overheating. I get to my brother-in-law's place, and it's not overheating anymore. Except it somehow is. Not necessarily to the effect that it's hurting the engine, but it's still, something's wrong. Like, I need to fix it pretty, quick, before I take it on any extensive drive. So the guy had told me he replaced the thermostat. That's what he thought it was. And then we started thinking, well, maybe when he replaced the thermostat, maybe air basically got trapped in those airways or waterways, and basically, that's what's causing the blockage in the radiator. So we start doing a thing basically they call it burping the system. And it's basically, you open the antifreeze, obviously not when it's hot. You make sure the truck is cooled down and shut off. And then you fire it up, and then you basically pour coolant inside the radiator, and then you press the gas and it sucks it up. Well, at least I don't know if that's the professional way to do it, but that's what we did. It may have been dumb, but it was not. The coolant was not hot. We did it very safely, as best as we can, to make sure it was done right. And so we did that, and it turns out it started working. And once I was done helping him, it started acting fine. And I get out and I go to the engine compartment, and I see a little yellow coolant sign, engine coolant. I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. I thought this was the engine coolant. And let me just show you guys real quick. Here we are. Back to the video. All right. So this is where we were filling. It's it's a little dirty, yes, but honestly, these fittings right here are usually rusted, and these are very, very clean. So that was huge. So this is where we were filling up the coolant. Right. This is where you do it. This is the radiator. You can see it right here. This is the radiator. All this, all the way across. But then I'm over here in the, right here. I'm, pressing the gas, and once we go through it, and we basically, we would pour it in here, and once I would press the gas, it would like suck up, so that we knew there was no clog inside this engine, or excuse me, the radiator. So there was like flowing, there was air in there. And it was, we were starting to kind of burp the system and kind of make sure, it was flowing. We basically just forced out air. And it worked. Once we squeezed this, like this was all hot and flimsy. Now it's stiff. There's this pipe right here that was hot and flimsy. And it was this pipe. Let's see here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's basically just that right there. This right here. This pipe right here was all nice and cool and hot, or excuse me, cool and stiff. Just like this one. This one's now, it's fine. And so we're like, okay, yeah, it's whatever. I come around. This is literally the visual I get. I'm coming around, and I just, me and Noah, my brother-in-law, is sitting right here. I come around, and I just, like, for some reason, I just see this right here. I just see it's like it was hidden by this. I never noticed it before. I'd only bought I only owned the truck for like 10-15 minutes. And, as you can see, it says, caution, engine coolant only. I was like, wait a minute. Whoa. I thought this was the engine coolant. Turns out there are 2 spots in this truck that can hold engine coolant. This goes straight into the radiator itself. Like this. Boom. Right into it. And this, at least I believe that's what this, I believe it goes straight into the radiator. This is the actual reservoir. The actual, like, compartment that holds the coolant. This was bone dry. Like, there was nothing in it whenever we were doing, we were messing with it. And I was just like floored. Like, I couldn't believe it. Obviously there is some now. And we're doing this. We fill it up and we start driving, just making sure coolant is getting through the truck. And bro, this thing started stiffening up. It drove fine. The only reason why this truck was overheating was because the guy didn't, he didn't do it right. I guess the owner just didn't put the coolant in the right spot. So
That did happen. Yes.
that's what happened. So yeah, that's what happened. So that's what happened. And yeah, truck drove fine the whole time. It's been driving fine. The brakes are the only thing I need to work on. I think that's probably the next thing I'm gonna do. Is probably work on the brakes, as well. Obviously, wash it and clean it up and make sure it, you know, looks good. You know, hopefully we'll tackle the paint as well. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get that started. It looks like it's about to rain though, but I thought, you know, I would be able to kind of introduce it more with actual in-depth, you know, what exactly is going on with the truck and what the story was behind it. So it stayed at my brother. I actually had to go on vacation. I had to go on vacation right after I bought the truck, and I also had a job site doing construction with my father in Cincinnati, so I had to rush back that night. I dropped it off at my brother-in-law's place, and I had my car that I drove from Cincinnati, and he obviously went with the car. He went with me to the place to buy it, and he drove my car back to his place, and then I took off from there. So I went on vacation, and I came back a month later to pick this guy up, to pick this truck up, and it drove fine from here to from there to Kentucky, to where I am now, about a four-hour drive. And yeah, here we are, and we're gonna have some fun with it. So it's a 1997 Dodge Dakota V6 two-wheel drive, 3.9 liter, and I bought it for $1,500 with 64,000 miles on it, with no rust, hardly anywhere. The frame is clean, it's spotless.
Wow, that is crazy.
And suspension is also phenomenal on this truck. I thought the suspension was going to be rough, considering it was apparently it was a farm truck, and the suspension's great. So I was shocked when he told me that over the phone the first time, because I was like, okay, it might be a little bit rougher than the pictures, you know, said, because when it's a farm truck, it gets beat, it gets used a lot. So yeah, but that's it. That's the introduction. That's the full introduction video of the series of, I'm not quite sure. We got some names on a poll from Instagram. I'm not decided on which one I want to go with it, but we're gonna call it Old Red for now. And it's about to thunder. It's about to rain. It's about to thunder. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So yeah, we're gonna see you later. Peace.